So, welcome to today's Shifnal Ladies podcast with me, Becky. We've got Amelia, Sean and Danny joining us today, all from the Shifnal Ladies team. So, our chat today is a subject really close to all of our hearts. So, following substantial testing, Danny, who's joined us today, was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, which is spread to her liver. She was given a terminal diagnosis at the age of 29. And then only last week, another player in our team has been also been diagnosed with breast cancer and is currently waiting an operation. So we really wanted to have a general conversation today, how everything's come about. Danny's very kindly talking through what's happened to her and her journey. And we want to create general awareness around how we can check ourselves, our boobs ourselves, and also how and what we can do to try and prevent some of the diagnosis that people are getting at the moment. So Danny's very kindly going to chat through now her journey and what's happened to her. So Dan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Bex. So basically, back in September 2022, I first had a swollen armpit, never thought anything of it. Went to the doctors. The doctor said it could be an infection, so give me antibiotics. They didn't work, and I kind of forgot to go back because I've got a 2-year-old little boy who's always got tonsillitis, so kind of myself got pushed to the back. And then in October, I found a lump on my right breast. Went to the doctors, got referred to the breast clinic, which was 4 weeks later. Saw the doctor there, had an ultrasound. He basically said nothing to worry about, it's just glandar tissue, which is normal in women. Literally he'd said he'd see me 6 weeks later. 1 to 2 weeks later, my boob started to swell, near enough double the size of my other one. Basically phoned the breast nurses at Telford and they kind of fobbed me off. Said the doctor doesn't think it's anything. I said I get that and I get what the doctor said, but it's dramatically changed since I last seen him. Kept phoning him back, probably phoned him back 3 or 4 times, kind of still didn't believe me. Went back to my GP. She said it could be mastitis, but she wasn't sure, so she gave me antibiotics. Saw me again 2 days later, she wasn't happy. Tried to get through to the breast clinic at Telford, couldn't get through. Went back to my GP a week later. She thought it could be an abscess, so she phoned the breast clinic at Telford, got me an emergency appointment for the following day. Went in and saw the same doctor I saw probably 4 weeks before. He said, yeah, it could be an abscess, sent me for another ultrasound. The lady in there was brilliant. She did my boob, scanned my boob, couldn't see nothing in there. So she did my armpit and found 2 swollen lymph nodes. So she did a biopsy on that. And then literally 5 days later, the following Tuesday, I had a phone call to say, can I go in? So I went in on the Wednesday and got told that I had cancer. Still waiting on more results to come back, so they wasn't fully sure what I actually had. She sent me for a mammogram, which isn't as bad as everyone makes out. And then, sorry, just going through it. The mammogram didn't show anything, which is quite normal in younger women because your boob tissue is so dense, so it doesn't always show anything. And then literally had a CT scan, an MRI scan, saw oncology in December last year. He told me that I had triple negative breast cancer and there was also a shadow on my liver. So they wanted to send me for a PET scan. Went for that over Christmas, had to chase that up myself. And then on the 9th of Jan I went back to oncology to see the doctor and he told me that it had spread to my liver. I'd start chemo as soon as possible, had bloods, and then I started on 17th of Jan. That's
So what was it that, I suppose, why did they think, is it because you were so young that they thought that it couldn't be breast cancer?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I think they thought, that it wasn't nothing, but I'm glad that I persisted and phoned them constantly to get an appointment.
I think there is that as well. Like, I think everyone thinks breast cancer is in older women, but it's not. And like with mammograms only starting from 40 or now 37, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, it can't be me because I'm much younger.
No. But mammograms don't always show anything in younger women because your boobs are so dense.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
So the older they get, the saggier your boobs, the better.
Show more.
So with that lump that you felt, obviously that is usually the main symptom of breast cancer. With like looking at lots of stuff, but that isn't the only symptom you kind of get.
No, well, mine was. If you think back to it, mine actually started in my armpit.
Yeah. Swollen
armpit, and then. But you just don't think anything of it.
No, and then some of the symptoms that we have looked into is you can have a change of shape or feel of your breasts, fluid leaking from your breast. You didn't get anything like that, did you?
No, my nipple went quite scabby.
lovely.
My booby's warm to touch.
Warm as well, yeah. Changing the position of the nipple, which I didn't know that.
Mine's gone quite big, so flat.
No, I didn't know that. So it's stuff that you don't even know, and I think that's the most important thing. Is just raising awareness for exactly what you can look for. Because then obviously we're all heartbroken by it, but it's just not fair, is it? But knowing it and getting it early is the best thing you can do. And like knowing your own boob is like one of the biggest messages as well. It's like if you feel something, then go.
Some women can have in general lumpy boobs, so like if you do find a lump, like don't automatically panic and think the worst, because you might just be one of them women that has lumpy boobs, which is quite normal.
Because it could be a cyst, can't it? And I think a lot of people go, oh, it's just a cyst, but that's not always the case, is it, unfortunately?
No, and I think it's quite key is that the other player that has unfortunately had the diagnosis last week has openly said she only started checking her boobs because of you.
Yeah.
And the consultant has literally said to her that, well, because she's quite flat chested, the way where the lump is, if she had been bigger breasts, she wouldn't have been able. They wouldn't have been able to pick it up. And she's young. She's younger than when you'd be called to have a mammogram.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's key. Like, I know that you were talking about you wanted to do as much as you could to get awareness out there, and from your diagnosis, another person has checked their boobs and then found this and then is having an operation really quickly.
Interesting to me, a factor which I saw with the other player and Dan was that both the doctor that you said, oh, it's just this, oh, you don't think it is this kind of thing, and you think they're the people who know the most. Yeah, exactly.
Like, if I'm obviously what you explained, there's just like, oh, it could be this, or it could be this.
And I think they said to another player as well, I think that's a cyst, so don't worry.
Yeah.
And with you, I think it's an infection, but like, know your own boobs.
I can't fault my GP because they were quite good. They were quite persistent in phoning the breast nurses at the hospital. My issue was mainly with the breast nurses at Telford. Like, they didn't believe me. Yeah. And I do generally believe it's because of my age.
Yeah.
They shouldn't base it on that. If you're telling somebody that it's dramatically changed since you last seen the doctor a week ago, they should kind of believe you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And obviously, my diagnosis would still be the same, but I might have been able to start chemo 2 to 4 weeks before I've actually started.
So I following this, it's quite interesting because I asked my own wife, so do you check your own boobs? And she was like, yeah, every single time I'm in the shower I check my own boobs. And she was like, do you not? And she was surprised. And I was like, well, no, not until regularly.
And I didn't check mine. It was literally, I was getting changed for training and I was going to put my sportswear on and felt it. So it was only by chance that I felt it, and then I got my husband in to check and he was like, yeah, it's there, and went to the doctors the next day.
I suppose one of the biggest things that we want to get awareness from this podcast is around, one, checking your boobs and checking your boobs regularly. And it might be that you do need to get your partner to check your boobs or somebody else to check your boobs. That if you do notice a change, like I didn't even know until, we had a chat, Amelia, yesterday to say around some of the changes and the symptoms. So I didn't know. I generally just thought, if there's a lump, that's what it would be. You just need to keep an eye out for a lump. But there's so many different ones, and I generally didn't know until you said yesterday, men can get breast cancer.
Yeah, I was really surprised as well, and I think one of the biggest things in men is it is more just a lump and everything. But again, you've got to check everywhere kind of thing. Check your armpits, the surrounding tissues and whatnot, because it's not just women, unfortunately, is it? If men have got
They have breast tissue.
breast tissue, more breast tissue
much breast tissue,
than others kind of thing, then you do need to check.
So I would
Doesn't discriminate, does it?
No,
Unfortunately.
it doesn't. I suppose it doesn't. I suppose, and I'm going to open a question up. So chatting about the factors around, Sean, would you turn around to some of your mates and go, "Do you check your boobs?"
Yeah.
No, because I think it's not. I don't know if it's like quite a personal question. Like some people might think, well, why are you asking me that?
Yeah.
But obviously, if you check and you find something irregular, you would want to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But it's finding how do you start that conversation.
Yeah, I get that. So you want to make it as much as a normal
thing,
Normal thing to talk about between friends. Yeah.
Anybody, if somebody come up to me in the street and saw me, obviously I'm all over Facebook. If somebody come up to me and ask me a question, I'd openly tell him I'm not.
Yeah.
If I could help one person, 100 people out there, get them if worst come to worst, they did have cancer, breast cancer, diagnose themselves 2, 3, 4 weeks earlier, then I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think it is a taboo subject, and that's like not a nice thing, because it's like boobs are sometimes sexualised, aren't they, with men, and like I don't know, there's people who feel really awkward and whatnot. That it's just like no one wants to say it. But I know with my family, we've got a really open family, and I can say to Mum, if you do check your boobs, she said yeah all the time kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in training the other day, someone said to me, well, I check them at the start of each month, that I thought was a really good thing to do.
Yeah.
So set a date in your phone, the first, everyone says, or I think it's like a week after your period.
And so because your period can change your boobs, it can change how sore they are. Some women may experience swollen boobs where they're etc. So it's kind of, you've got to kind of do it after your period.
Know your own menstrual cycle, but make sure you try and get the same date each
a week
month.
or 2 weeks after your
check your boobs, check your armpits, lift your arms up different positions, and even get someone else to check them.
Yeah, because some people have said like your partners might know your boobs more than suppose that you do. but there we go. So I suppose some of the biggest things, and I know we've all chatted about it, and we really, after not just Danny's diagnosis but the other players' diagnosis on the team, we really want to raise the awareness of checking your boobs regularly, making sure, and it might be like you said, putting a reminder in your phone, or just thinking, I'm coming to the end of my period.
Set a day.
If you do notice a change, you need to go and get it checked out. Like, don't necessarily, we're talking about 2 people and 2 players that have unfortunately had that cancer diagnosis, but there's loads out there that doesn't mean that you've got cancer, but it does mean that you need something checked to make sure. And I suppose the final one is that if you're at the age where you get called for a mammogram, just go for your mammogram.
Don't be scared.
Danny's,
it's not as bad as everyone thinks. Just like your smear, it's nothing. It's got to be done. It could save your life.
Because look, we've had another girl in our team whose mom just went for a routine mammogram, had no symptoms, nothing, and found that she got breast cancer, but they found it that early. She had the treatment, she's absolutely fine. So I suppose it's really have that open conversation with your friends. Just turn around and don't be afraid to turn around to them and go, have you checked your boobs this month? Have you checked your boobs?
And if you haven't got a partner, if you have got like a close friend, like a best friend, get them to check.
And we've certainly got somebody in the football team that openly has offered, I won't mention any names, Nicola, who is openly offered to come and check your boobs for you if you want your boobs checked. I suppose in kind of summing things up again, like Danny said, her story is all over social media. She's locally famous, and well, more than just locally famous now. But I think it's really key that we've had 2 diagnoses within a month and a half, really, and it's kind of hit us quite hard. So we really want to make sure that we're getting the awareness out there, and like I said, check your boobs, get them checked if there's something, go to a mammogram appointment, and the biggest thing that you
don't let anyone fob you off.
Absolutely don't.
If you know there's something wrong with your own body, you know your own body at the end of the day.
So in light of Danny's story, we do have our fundraiser at the Shifnal Town Football Club on the 25th of March. It is free entry to come in, so if you want to come down for the day, we've got lots going on. it's a really good family event, and I think it's a really good way. Again, we're going to be sharing and making sure there's awareness out there at that event around this subject as well. So I wanted to thank everybody and all three ladies from joining us today to have a good open chat, especially you, Dan, about everything that's going on with you, which is really good. But it's really good to have, I suppose, this key conversation at the Shifnal podcast. And thank you very much. I suppose thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.